had sort of drafted the agenda on this, but I think, Lynn, you guys were all participated in the one back in October of 2021 where we had Ryan Getz there.
So long ago. Was I
Yeah.
there? No, maybe.
It was like a long time ago. Yeah, we talked about what was the city doing for the
Yes,
permit.
yes.
And
Yeah, I
then he
do
said
remember.
he would work on things to,
Yeah.
that's a little background kind of. He was, basically, they did that flyer that came out that you talked about. The other.
We never met or had an opportunity to talk or what they were gonna come out with. I did not know.
So it was just the flyer. So, and then, and you were more interested in the whole pesticide-free program, and then he basically, he said that he would be, whatever the CONSCOM decided to do would be fine, but he would, you know, if there's an opportunity to promote it or whatever, but he wouldn't necessarily participate, but would definitely help coordinate on that level.
Sure.
And then, so that's a permit thing, because you had brought that
Yeah.
up too. So definitely opportunities for them to also take credit for what happens out of this. But the original information from this is that the city was doing the pesticide reduction kind of program on their practices, right,
Right.
on their property.
It was in 2017, we're back in 2017. We worked this group non-toxic Portsmouth. We worked with a group from Dover as well. And we got the city to pass a resolution banning the use of pesticides on all city property. They were using glyphosate on all city property up until 2018. So anyway, they banned the use of pesticides to maintain city property. And the other part of that resolution was that they looked to the Conservation Commission to recommend to city staff organic land care outreach. So we never really had one. So I think Brian tried, but I think that it's not his particular area. I think his particular area is where's the water, you know, not necessarily was in the land as much. So there were some things that didn't link cod this and that and stuff like that. And but at any rate, now going forward, you know, I've been around this for a long time. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at it now or in the past about the Providence pesticide plan. I was excited about theirs because they got a grant of 35 grand and they just wanted to do two. And I worked and lived in the city for a while, so I called down and you know, got some background on what worked and didn't work for them. And they admitted they could do some better things. Their big area was like they used the little lawn signs as part of their program. You know, to say, okay, my lawns are organic, and to put pure group pressure on your neighbors and the other kids at school, stuff like that. You know? So it worked really well on the city's east side of Providence, which is the wealthiest side, where Brown University is, on the hill, and it didn't work as well in the poorer parts of Providence. But the demographics are different in Providence. You know, it's probably 60% minority. It's a very mixed income, and it's also it's a really cool city. You know, it's got like 9 colleges, and there's always stuff going on. So I talked to them again just the other week. I gave them a call to see what they're doing. They made some improvements to their program, but theirs is oriented towards you know, online. But so what I did is I came up with this 3 areas of concern that I think we should focus on, which was first of all the do-it-yourself homeowners, you know, and I think the majority of people in this town pay people to take care of their lawn or to cut it, you know, and the problem is that they don't know who to go to because everybody says I'm a green company. Oh yeah, we're organic. Oh yeah, and they're not. It's like they have one. It's called Mainly Green, something like that. We looked into it, investigated them. They had a fine of like $50,000 from the state of Maine because the city of South Portland. Oh, we got an organic program, and then as soon as the program started, they went to the cheap stuff. Everybody said, "Oh, it looks great," so no one questions it. And then the state investigated and found out there was the very same company that has been providing the lawn services at our public high school. That's cool. So you know, it's just things like that. That's an example. so that you really, there's so much greenwashing out there. So there's a big, huge market for people to maintain people's property using organic land care standards, you know. And also there's the whole commercial property sector, you know, what do you do there? So I'll give you a little update of what I have done, what waiting us to kind of get together, is that I talked to both the Norfolk, New Hampshire people and the Norfolk, Connecticut people. Norfolk has been around for more than 50 years. They're the oldest organization that promotes organic land care standards. They started in Vermont, in New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. Now they're in 7 different states. And each chapter sort of takes responsibility for doing things, and they share the information. So the Connecticut chapter, they provide the accreditation for people to get accredited in organic land care. So they're pretty good. So I talked to Jeremy Pelletier there. And, you know, I took the advantage during the pandemic to actually get my accreditation. So I'm familiar with the process and familiar with those guys, you know. And so I talked to Jeremy about it, and we set up a meeting with also the lady from Norfolk, New Hampshire, Nikki Cole, who's in the New Hampshire people focus a lot more on homeowners. They've got a little program and a bunch of little videos about organic land care, and they're pretty good. You know, there was a link there, and they've got some really nice programs set up. So you, we, myself, and then we pulled in Diana Carpinoni, my colleague from Dover, who's terrific. She's one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met. That's just, you know, a citizen that's not working in the field, just teaching herself. Anyway, well, 4 of us chatted for a while and said, all right, what do we do? If we wanted to have an organic land care program in Portsmouth, how would it work? And we really talked about how there are a lot of available resources out there. We put on a program here in Portsmouth in 2018. Unfortunately, there's no YouTube video of it. But we had a fellow that came down from Maine, this accredited in organic land care. And he put on a very nice program, and we had the library. There were 60 people showed up, an in-person program. We put on another big program on organic land care, and I set the link on that one, and synthetic fields, you know, both sides that can pull in academicians and others. So that was out there. So the thought is, well, during the course of this winter, when sort of a couple of thoughts. One is, how do you get more people accredited and to know about this stuff? You know, all the landscapers that are out there, how do you go about it? And then we were chatting amongst the 4 of us saying, well, when they stop cutting lawn and when the plows come out, that's the time to hit them up and educate them. So Jeremy offered, and without any set amount, these courses are not inexpensive. They're like $400 to get your accreditation. They didn't used to be able to do it online. You had to go down to Connecticut for 2 weeks. Now they allow you to. They did it because of the pandemic. They developed a nice little online program. So the thought was, how can we attract people that aren't accredited and get them accredited? You know, promise them something. You know, there's going to be business in Portsmouth. You know, so they see dollar signs and take this thing and learn about it. You know, so use the market forces, and then do your own homeowners. There's a couple of different companies that make their own organic stuff. And they'll say, okay, here's your program. Like they come out, they'll test your soil. They take a look at what your yard needs. And it doesn't change in one season. It takes several years for your land to come out. And then he comes up with a program. And 4 times a year, we'll deliver something to your house. You spread it on your lawn, and there you go. You know, that's other than that, cut you on. And so I've seen some of the results. Actually, Diana uses that particular person in her house in Dover. It's the best one now, and it's 3rd or 4th year in neighborhood. So those were some thoughts that we kicked around. And then the commercial property owners, well, you know, you got to think about that one. But so anyway, we threw out a bunch of ideas, and there's a lot of information out there. So the thought was, if we could put together a program that has a couple of live sessions, people like to see it. Maybe we could put on a demonstration. For instance, there are now 4 people on the staff of City Portsmouth that are accredited in organic land care. And the city actually owns a compost tea machine. You know what that is? Basically, you're using compost leaves and other things, and you make it up like a big batch of tea, and then you spray it out as fertilizer. And that's what they're using selectively around the city. And there's two gentlemen that both happen to be gentlemen that got their accreditation. And we actually, Diane and I got the grant through Stonyfield Yoga so that they could put on a demonstration organic land management program. We have one here in Portsmouth, and there's one in Dover. And now they're both in their going into their fourth year. And you got to get out and see them sometimes. Alumni Field, where school used to be. You take a look at it now. It's like 4 years into it, and they have like 3 or 4 different sports that play there. They play lacrosse in the springtime, right at the beginning of the season. A lot of people play lacrosse. It's all mud. That's because they talk about the lacrosse fields at the high school, which are down in the mud. They're not. Anyway, they're not drained. No drainage. So anyway, that's one to look at, and they've done a pretty good job. The other one is a school over in Dover that looks beautiful and a baseball field, and they've done a really nice job. So the thought was just to do it, somewhat informally, Zoom it as much so that we can pull in these desperate people from down Connecticut and Swanton, Connecticut. I'm just thinking of people from my past experience that I know that might be willing to volunteer or help in some way. There are advantages to the NOFA people. They want to get more people into their profession. In the 7 states, there are about 5,000 people that are accredited through NOFA, somewhere in that range in the 7 states, But there's still not enough of them. If you look in the phone book, I want someone to take care of my my property, follow organic land practice, you're not going to find them. It's like that. Each NOFA state chapter, they maintain a list of their members, but the public generally doesn't know where to go. So the other part of this is we were talking between the 4 of us, throwing this out to you guys, is that what we wanted to do was do a standalone program in Portsmouth that has everything we need in it, all the components, just pick it up, move it to next year, do it over next year. I heard from someone in Somersworth, they are also interested in organic land care. So if you've got what we talked about, if you're going to put in this effort, let's do this once. Let's make a program that you can have online. You can share it with other people very easily, fill it in, maybe offer them some technical assistance on website or something. I don't know. And anyway, that's my report back of what I've been doing since we voted on this in June.
Okay. I just want to clarify to Kate, we have to have somebody take notes, right? Because it's a public meeting.
Well, we have a quorum, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I've been jotting stuff down.
Okay, yeah, I can always watch these back too as well.
Yeah, you
Okay,
could-
and I can
you could
maybe
say-
send you a draft of what I
Sure,
jotted
yeah, that'd be
down.
great. Good thinking. Thanks for reminding me. I
And
have
then
to
you can
remember.
build off of that.
Okay, perfect.
So we kind of go from
Thank
there, but
you.
we'll need somebody to take minutes for all the other meetings too,
Oh.
which might
Okay.
have to be.
Well,
non-city
one of the
staff,
thoughts I had was this, I'd like to move it. So the thought that I had was to have a subcommittee with other people that maybe not have a quorum. And that was the point of making the motion to have us report, the subcommittee, who's ever working on it, report back to the regular conservation meeting once a month. This is what we did, this is it. 10 minutes, no more than that. So this is what's going on, so that you don't have to necessarily pull people that don't have time, but they care,
Mhm.
that want to participate, but that you can provide them information, get ideas, things like that, move this along, I'm gonna be away for the month of September, part of October, depending, so. I don't know when, we can talk about scheduling, but maybe sometime in the fall, something in the spring, for live performances. Who else did I hear from? Got another guy down in Marblehead that's an expert on organic land care. He's got some training tapes that he's used in the past. He said are really good. They were really high quality, well done. And so that, I think a lot of it's out there. It's just working organizing it, pulling it together, find out when you want to put it down. It would be good if we could have a little, not a whole page, a tab and department. And I would suggest maybe Public Works, maybe Parks and Greenery, something like that.
Sorry.
Well, if, I'm just thinking it would be good to have a little page or something on your education program and where do you put it, you know? And I was just thinking out loud, over to Parks and Greenery, they've got Colin Howell over there he's really good. He's got his accreditations and different type of landscaping things. And he now has 2 people that also have their NOFA accreditation on his staff. So I was gonna send them an email and phone and see what's going on. And I was gonna wait to run to Peter at the gym, but I haven't been going to the gym since I broke my ankle.
Yeah, so I don't know if, I mean, my thoughts a little bit are, there are some things that are being done. It'd be nice to narrow it down, either one or the other, or at least have 2 tracks maybe going, if you're talking about, you know, sort of the land care people, and then the do-it-yourselfers, the 2 different audiences, it sounds like. And so some of the materials that you talked about were more for providing sort of a place for land care people to be certified and to get recognized and to be listed.
I like that. I feel like that track is like a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word, like, not doable, but there's, I don't know.
Well, it's
I
a
just think-
product.
yeah.
Kind of something, a tool that comes.
I guess my question with that, if these companies become accredited and we want to like promote them, can the city promote them, or do they need to be promoted on like non-toxic Portsmouth, for example? Like, can the city say like, this is who you should use? I don't know if they can.
I'm guessing they can't,
Yeah.
just like we can't,
Right.
like, at least when I worked at DES, we
Yeah.
couldn't promote anybody because we're a state agency. And once you
Exactly.
start doing that, it's like you become responsible for who you
Right.
promote it. Cooperative Extension does promote people that have taken
Yeah.
trainings,
Right?
which was the Soak Up the Rain training that we had done. And that was like just a list of people that took the training. It wasn't like, you know, here are people that know all about organic land care, but they had taken this certain training. And so you could point people in that direction. So I don't know about this thing.
Because I think, I think it'd be great to try to get more companies. If you're saying that probably, I don't know if it's the majority, but a fair amount of Portsmouth property owners pay to get their
Oh, yeah.
land care done, to get them accredited. And then give them the incentive of somehow we're promoting them, if it has to be through a non-city body, and then even have them maybe pitch in a little bit more to help with the promotional like materials, and then send something out or something like that. And then their benefit is, you know, all these homeowners are now seeing their name as somebody that can do this kind of thing. And I feel like that would be a big buzz for their business, and like paying an extra, I don't know what, on top of the accreditation, which you said is like $400.
It's $400, but in talking with the NOFA people, Jeremy said, you know, you run a program like this, we probably get a discount.
Yeah,
We'll make it $300 or something like
Yeah.
that. So that's another, you know, carrot, if you would, to this group.
Yeah.
And I don't know who you were, you know, I don't know enough about how they're organized, but I'll find out.
is there a renewal? Do they have to do it every year, or have a
Oh, they
certain
have to
amount
be,
of hours?
Yeah, they have to renew it every year. They
Okay.
have to take a couple of courses,
Yeah.
or stay on top of it. You can even do things to keep yourself up. You can serve on a local conservation commission.
Mhm.
You know, so I don't have to do an educational requirement this year.
Yeah.
By my service on the Conservation Commission. So there are other ways that people can keep it up. They
Yeah.
can take certified courses, even other, you know, state organizations.
I'm curious for if it's a company, they do the education piece, but is there some sort of vetting for like the actual products that they're
That's
using?
what would have to be talked about a lot. And, you know, think that with the NOFA people would have their list and you just send people to them, you know.
Yeah, and they do the vetting for you, because last thing we want is to put somebody on a list and then have the education, but still not be
And then
using the
I-
right products.
And then there's people that say, oh yeah, I've got the accreditation, and they're still cheating on the side using cheap products.
Right, that's
There
exactly,
are all kinds of problems in the industry like this.
Yeah.
in Green Place.
So what, we would need some sort of vetting before we
Yeah, like
put our, not necessarily Conservation Commission, but our name on it, our stamp on it.
like reporting it. Jess, did you?
Well, I mean, so my brain has been involved in some other stuff lately, but I think it all ties in because I'm wondering, has anybody talked to you about how they tie this into their city's climate action plans? Because I feel like if this can be a piece of our climate action plan, like right now, there are citizen action groups in conjunction with the city working on a dashboard that will be accessible to citizens, residents, businesses, and organizations. And the goal of that dashboard is to be a place where people can go and understand about their greenhouse gas emissions, but also learn actions that they can take to mitigate and reduce their. So
like
I
use
kind of
fertilizer.
see like,
Yeah.
yeah, this could be the perfect segue if somebody is going in there, whether it's a homeowner or whether it's a local business. And whether they want to do it themselves or they want to hire somebody, if they could go to the organic land care management tab and just say, are you a resident? Are you doing this yourself? Click this and here's the information you need. Or
Are
if you
you
want to
hiring?
if you want to hire somebody, here are a list of people who have been through, or, NOFA standard training, X, Y, and Z. Like, I feel like it could segue really
Oh, that would
well.
segue beautifully.
Yeah, so that might be something worth, and it would help, there's now, as far as the climate action plan goes, Kate and Peter are working very hard right now to get the proposal together so we can hire a consultant, but we're already starting or getting ready to start community engagement and awareness that this plan is coming. We want you involved. Here are actions you can take, what's priority to you, what matters to you. So, there's definitely, I would see opportunity to kind of dovetail these two things together
yeah.
and make
Right.
it part of that bigger, broader picture as well.
You're right. And just even like the example of the fertilizer.
Yeah.
You can see the problem now because of the issues that are going on with the Ukraine war, that they can't mine the fertilizer, that they need natural gas to make it, and then it comes here as Scots or something,
Right.
So, yeah.
And that I think would be an important part about education, like I can talk till I'm blue in the face about plastic and how that's made. And, I just chatted with someone last night who I thought was pretty well informed, but was surprised by a lot of the things that I was telling them. And I feel like the same would be true for fertilizer. Like if people understood how it's manufactured and how it all works, that would be a valuable piece too, that kind of.
Water use, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
You know,
yep,
protecting the environment, everything associated with it.
yeah, yep. So that just as you move forward and think about, or we move forward, or however this moves forward, that might be a piece that we want to kind of stay connected to, because I definitely think it could segue well. Do you agree, Kate?
Yeah, oh yeah, now I'm thinking about it. I was just writing that section about an hour ago, so. Yeah, suggest to Peter that we put something in just more broadly about in the dashboard, including land management strategies and not just greenhouse gas emissions, but also
Yeah,
DIY stuff and just suggestions.
yeah.
Great point.
Is that coming through the sustainability committee? Is that what you guys are?
Yeah, so I was on a subcommittee for them.
Okay.
That we were really doing a lot of work to support Kate and Peter. So
Gotcha.
we looked at a ton of caps in New England, but also throughout the country, just similar size, maybe on water, ports, whatever, and tried to what seemed to be valuable, what would be applicable to us. We talked to a whole bunch of cities, got feedback from them, like, how's it working? What would you
That's
do
cool.
differently? What is successful? So, yeah,
They're
that's,
doing really good stuff up in Portland and South Portland. They-
yeah, we've talked to
Oh.
them a lot.
Really
Yep.
good. Yeah.
And Concord, Mass is another big one
Yeah.
that they've
I
done a
forget
lot
the
of good
guy's
stuff
name,
too.
Brown or something from Portland, but
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
So who are the people that, like, if this is gonna be a committee, a subcommittee, who are the other people that we should, like, I mean, we don't know exactly what we're doing, and maybe it needs to be formulated a little bit with, or a lot with the subcommittee, but it sounds like, I mean, that's a big component that we want to make sure is represented within the group, so that it's included in the climate action plan. How would that work? So we need somebody.
I mean, I'm happy to talk to the sustainability committee. We meet, our official meetings are the fourth Thursday of every month, so I can tell them at the end of this month that, you know, members of the Conservation Commission are working on this piece and they're forming a subcommittee, and would there be any interest from anybody on that?
fourth Friday, you said,
Thursday, fourth Thursday at 6:30.
you Zoom.
Yes, we have been
Oh, yes,
zooming.
we'll discuss.
Yes, we have been zooming. We meet in person where all of us used to meet in that little, in conference room.
I think it's really increasing public participation. I don't, it's just
Yeah.
increasing my public participation in some places.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this was a couple of years ago. We were gonna try to get businesses to sell us to pass out a pamphlet about organic land care and open standards. And then they're gonna put this on their lawn. It was actually Diana's idea that she was going with a couple of years ago.
I think that's really important too, like the pollinators and stuff.
Oh,
And to your point, like the greenwashing, you know, like I know my parents struggle with that. Their neighbors are have a company that claims to be organic and that it doesn't hurt the bees. It just takes care of the ticks and whatever, but my
And they
parents
spray.
haven't seen bees in
And they spray.
years and they
Right,
spray.
that's the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, you're not supposed to, according to New Hampshire state law, you're not supposed to spray that stuff when the wind is above 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
5 miles an hour is really not a strong wind, right? So any of those things that they're spraying, it's against the law. But they all just do it, they get out there and they try to get the job done. My neighbor goes crazy, because she's got somebody next door. And she's got, she had Lyme disease in the past, and she's highly sensitive to all these things, so.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that maybe can, willing to set something up, I'm willing to talk to Corin and see if he's interested, and touch base with Peter Rice if necessary, to see if some of their accredited people could participate. I think it'd be really great if we could get, and I'll talk to Corin, and then if we could get a demonstration. People love demonstrations. If you put on, you put on the city's newsletter, you advertise a little, people love demonstrations. You can do it out in one of the parks, right out here at City Hall, and people love it. And I'd like to see it. I've never seen them actually brew the tea. So I've been interested in seeing this thing. Cost $5,000 for the thing, but
So the tea thing, so that's one of the things I'm wondering about too, is like kind of narrowing it down, or when do we kind of go down that path?
is it
Because-
better in the fall, the spring? Yeah.
Yeah, but in our process too, because it's always been like when I work with organizations on outreach, we always people always start out with, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a workshop, or we're gonna do a demonstration or a website. And it's always good to first figure out, what we want to accomplish. So like the demonstration could be a tool that we use, but maybe not go down that path quite yet, I think, not the planning of it.
Like what are our goals and
Yeah.
mission and all that
And the demonstration may come out of that.
ties into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that one's a little bit more for, like, I'm really curious about it too and what they're doing but it's more for the larger
Yeah.
places and the communities. So, I wouldn't get on that too quickly. It's just, I think it would be
No,
interesting.
I was just using that as an example of how they might use their accreditations to participate in some way they might be interested in. So I was just gonna sound them up, they might be too busy, they might not be interested in doing anything.
Or they may love to show people
Yeah.
that would acknowledge the great work they're doing. Yeah,
Exactly.
I totally think it's great. It's just when do we do that?
So I was thinking of setting up a meeting, like a Zoom meeting with some of these people that I spoke with, and we just throw ideas on. You know, what do you want to accomplish? How far? You know, what's the schedule? They had some really good ideas, and they both have a lot of experience, and Diana too have a lot of experience in doing some of this stuff in this arena. So they've got all kinds of really cool videos. Look at that. Nova one, and go to their website, and the Nova New Hampshire one, and they've got a bunch of really good videos that are already available. So it's how do you, what do you want to do? You want to do something, you know, there's programs for the fall, there's programs for the spring with individual homeowners. So that's one goal, is to get enough people putting up those signs. I do it myself, you know, almost. And then it's really to get as many people accredited as possible in the field and figure out a way to promote them, right? On the commercial side, I could think about that. I don't know if there's any group of the chamber, anything like that.
There's the commercial stuff. The other group that I'm thinking about a lot is the like condo associations, like the
HOAs.
homeowners associations. And it seems like we have like a little bit of an in with them because oftentimes they come before the boards and conservation commissions. I can hear you guys already kind of like trying to slip in the organic lawn care messaging. And
Well, we
it-
can
it-
find out from the HOVs who services them.
Mhm. Yeah. And what will kind of sway them, what's the right way to do that? It's a different kind of, it's more of a like convening or going to their board meetings maybe, or something like that.
The cart before the horse, kind of the horse.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was.
They asked for it and then, right?
Yeah,
Or
I
we
don't know.
asked them to ask for
I've got one that I'm living at right now that I'd love to do this for. I could do a little pilot there.
Those are some of the biggest battles in the whole
Yeah.
country on organic land care. It's HOVs. And it's the people that I decided to move to Florida, and now I can't even put a garden out in the yard, you know, type thing, you know, or I'm really worried about what they're using, you know. My grandkids kind of stuff like that.
I feel like I want to get up on like what the rules are. Like, so it sounds like the city has made the decision to like go to take certain steps on their own land. But are there any like
Not in Hampshire,
rules or things that are kind of at play? Because I feel like
not in Hampshire.
But we
Good.
have had success in the past, I mean, with new projects of getting them to incorporate it into the docs
Yes,
for the condo association stuff that we wanted them to do about snow management or those kinds of things. So, you know,
Right, yes.
like tomorrow, I know we don't have a lot of say over that new development, but that might be worth something bringing up. I'm assuming that's gonna be a condo style. So it wouldn't hurt to ask and just say, hey, can this be part of your
you know, no one's turned us
docs
down
and
yet.
and your regs?
Because that whole property's draining across to the wetland.
Yeah, to a very active vernal pool.
So where do we start? So I like the idea of a Zoom meeting or a meeting in person or whatever, but so the conscom's role would be, you guys are still interested in working through this a little bit more?
I would be willing to kind of put together like a framework of kind of like our mission and then kind of the why, the how, and actionable items, and spread that around and everyone kind of edit it. So at least we have something like a base to start from. So then when someone brings up with something, where does that fall, and you know, where along the line do we do it, kind of thing. And I don't know so much about like the timeline. I think that's a good part of the framework, but I would like input probably about that. But I can start with kind of something.
So why and how?
Yeah, like our mission of this subcommittee, the why, the how, and then I can put in a lot of questions as to what I need other people to kind of fill it out with.
Yeah, I think the timeline's gonna take a while to build up.
Yeah,
figure out
that
how
one
it's-
for
Yeah.
sure.
Because you can move backwards from,
Yeah.
especially it's this season.
Yeah,
Figure out the end
but
goal.
that ultimately like should be in there eventually.
These folks had such really good ideas. I love to
Yeah,
get you guys in the room
Yeah.
with them and brainstorm a little bit.
yeah, and I think I think that would be, we'll continue to kind of like add to that framework based on all of our conversations with all these new people. But for me, I feel like I need something solid to start with,
Good.
Yeah,
and
rather
then-
than getting everybody together and going off on.
because if you just do brainstorming for, you know, like 5 meetings in a row, now it's like, okay, but what are we actually gonna do? So if we can, start with something
Or
and
at
see what
least a few
fits.
goals.
Yeah, goals,
Yeah,
yeah,
like this
totally.
is, you know,
Do
Ted,
it
what are
yourself.
your end results that you're hoping to, like
Yeah.
you said, getting more of the professional companies certified, having
Yeah.
resources for citizens that they can access, like,
Yeah.
if we can
Mhm.
just kind of organize that for me,
Yeah.
then I can, okay, these are the steps we have to do to get there.
Right,
I'm just thinking, with Mr. Fox for the composting service, I think the city's promoted that a little bit. They've got Mr. Fox things. at
I mean,
Public
it's at the,
Works.
it's at, yeah, it's
The
at,
transfer
They
station.
promoted
yeah.
them some.
it's at the dump.
No, but at the dump.
Yeah.
But also in literature, I've seen it in the past, because I used them
Yeah.
for a while and I found them just too expensive for just 2 people.
But I wonder,
I still do. it,
you
I
know,
just
to
take it
Barbara's
myself.
point, like if we could just list them, like, I don't know, maybe there's a way we could get around it where we list all of the land care companies within a 10-mile radius, and then we can just note, these ones are the ones that have been through the organic, so we're not kind of playing favorites or
Right.
anything, but then we are giving the information. These are the ones who are using,
Well,
Yeah.
we
or
do-
something like that,
We do have a list of people that are accredited.
on a city.
That have their NOFA accreditations in, the broad area of Maine, New Hampshire.
Where's
Where do you
that
find
listed?
that list though?
It's on the website.
NOFA or the city?
NOFA.
Oh,
It's on the
NOFA's
city's
website, okay.
No,
Okay.
It's on the
Maybe.
Connecticut website too.
Maybe link to it on the city
Yeah.
website, because if it's not ours. it's a link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. How do we get around
It
this?
seems like there's
Yeah.
some like nice low hanging fruit here.
Yeah.
I mean, I
agree.
love the idea of like having a really strategic plan
Yeah.
and like a logic model or whatever, but
And
I
not.
also
us
kind of
and
just want to like
stuff.
just
I
grab
know.
something easy and
But-
doing it, like getting things on the dashboard feels like a really
Yeah,
kind of easy thing, like these videos, this NOFA list,
Yeah.
a training schedule or whatever, and just
Yeah,
But
and take advantage of like, there's really a lot of energy around the climate action plan, I feel like, so we can maybe
this
just ride
next
that wave.
year
I
is
love
gonna
that
be
idea.
very big.
I'll
Yeah,
put a
for
thing on
sure.
this framework of low hanging fruit.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly.
I just want to make sure it kind of all fits together.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
Yeah.
And there'll be tangents, so like if you, like if
Definitely.
we have a bigger group get together, and once we have this, and there's ideas that come out of that. And somebody else wants to run with an idea and we link to it, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fine, it's just where do we want to put our energy,
Yeah.
and what do we want to get out of it as the conscom? There's so many great connections, like, everybody's backgrounds, that they're working on now. So do you want to, so you'll start with the
I
hype,
can do that. Yeah,
and then we'll kind of add in.
I'll get that and I'll share it with those people. Is that okay?
yeah, I mean,
Do you think?
I think
No?
everyone should
Sure.
probably give me their 2 cents before you submit it off to other people. 'Cause I'm just gonna do what I've heard, but I think everyone could add a great deal to it.
And
So
then-
I can work on that. I'll email it out. You guys can give me your edits, what you think should be on there. And then, yeah, if you wanna kind of send it out to promote it, to see who else wants to join, then they'll have a better idea too of like what we're doing. Or trying to do,
Yeah, thank you.
and see if they'd be interested.
Volunteering to do that.
Yeah, no problem.
And then if we come up with more people that, like as a group too, in addition to your resources and contacts.
Oh, yeah.
So like cooperative extension, maybe if you try to get, I could try to get one person to come from there. Here, we've got people, I think, that you're working with on a daily basis, and you guys. Lovely.
Yeah,
know, like
And Kate.
the Office Extension. There's also like Master Gardeners and like
Yeah,
some other
that's
groups you
quite-
could tap into.
There are some other groups.
Yeah,
And with
Master Gardeners.
Cooperative extension, you have to be careful because, I don't know, 40% of their revenues are to support pesticides and that's where a lot of the money comes from. So big believers of IPM, which is, I've never seen the written standards for it. It's just use less, that's a good idea, but I think the world has transitioned beyond that now. And it's a little bit different. So there's some really good people over there.
Yeah, the thing, I mean, I could contribute just professionally is like helping host an event. If we did want to do like a demonstration.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the city, or we did want to do some sort of training and then know if people needed help, like finding space and promoting it, like that's the kind of stuff that falls into my day job.
Well,
Fun to do.
Oh,
And
good.
boards, you work with the boards, right?
Yeah, we could promote something to them too.
Yeah. the Boards at least. Or see what other communities are doing, maybe having something.
Yeah, I have an idea about that
And
too.
the library has great facilities.
I
It's
I
so
was
nice.
gonna mention that because,
So
so I
good.
just helped set up a display this month for Plastic Free July, and in conversations with the library staff about getting ready for this, they have said that they want sort of an environmental, sustainable kind of theme to be woven into their displays more regularly. So I don't know if it'll be every month, but they're definitely like, they want this to be a reoccurring theme, that we're starting to talk about this kind of stuff more. So that might be, a perfect, like, getting ready for your spring garden kind of thing.
I'll talk to my neighbor. She's the education coordinator for the library.
Yeah,
She's so nice.
yeah,
She, in fact, last year she came, they were putting something together for nonprofits. They wanted to do something. with it. But she's already, she told me in the past, if it's a nonprofit, we can get you on for free,
yeah.
So I'm sure anything's associated with the city, same deal, but the audio, video stuff, everything. You don't need to hire a photographer. You want to do a squad show. So
Quick question for you. Does the dashboard exist yet for the climate action plan?
No, so we are actually meeting tomorrow night.
Okay.
We have, so it's, hopefully I will have some answers by
Okay.
the end of tomorrow night.
Okay.
After Concom, I meet with them.
Yeah.
And we have two different platforms that we've been looking at that we think might be really transferable to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
But we also have some IT guys who are part of our group,
Okay.
and they might be motivated to try to develop something for
Okay.
us specifically. But
Okay.
the goal, that's like the push right now,
Okay.
is to get that up and running.
Okay.
So I will,
And that would be off of the city's website.
yeah,
somehow.
yeah, it'll be connected to all the stuff around the cap. I don't think all those logistics have been quite figured
Okay.
out, but it'll be.
I wanted to say, put this up there and you'd be like, well, this doesn't exist.
Yeah, no.
So, okay.
But what it'll be, it's its own freestanding platform, but it'll definitely be linked
Cool.
to the
Okay.
city and the cap and everything around that.
Perfect. Okay.
So, yeah, there's one you can look at. There's one called Bright Action, if you're curious already. That's the one
Yeah.
where we've been looking at a lot. It's brightaction.org, and then Mass Energize, I believe is the
Mass.
other one. Mass Energize or
Mass.
Cool or Concord, like, yeah, Concord, Massachusetts. They both have, they have two platforms that we've done a lot of looking into. and kind of
you get
researching.
one, I can send you the link. You can write it down. I think it's Safe Healthy Playing Fields.
Say that again?
Safe Healthy Playing Fields. And that's what we've been doing the last year and a half. We're working on this website. And we've got a consortium with some universities, and it's actually it's the NYU School of Medicine maintains our website for us. So.
Those things too would be helpful, like, I know that's another part of the climate action plan is to already incorporate a lot of local initiatives that are going on, because it just feels like there are so many of these little groups and people and organizations that are doing stuff, so.
And what happens is
Yeah.
you want these efforts to be sustainable. So for instance, two and a half years ago, there was a group that started, concerned citizens, and they're what they called Sustainable Seacoast. That's what they were called. And it was short-lived, but they had a lot of energy, and they went around and they got all these restaurants, a lot of businesses to stop using plastic straws.
Right.
Remember that?
Mhm.
And people wanted paper straws, and it was really, 5 people that were just motivated, or 6 people, but, you know, it was an effort that was dropped, you know, it wasn't incorporated to anything else. Remember that?
How does PFAS fall into all of this? 'Cause that's not organic land care management per se,
No, but you assume you don't want chemicals in your land.
right?
and your
Totally,
water.
but in terms of our, like this framework, I feel like that is kind of a separate
It is separate.
thing.
I think it probably is separate.
Okay.
I think that, you know, I do think it's an enormous and growing
I
concern.
agree.
It's really huge. And we ourselves, the city of Portsmouth, is right now, we're breaking the Clean Water Act, I assume. We've got PFAS in Newfield and Owen, and DES actually tested the water at Sagamore Creek and found PFAS. Now,
Yeah.
we should be finding out, the city should be finding out exactly what it is. You
Right.
know, rather than speculating, oh, it's something on the roof of the high school, or something. You just, you know, find out, you know.
Yeah, I think it will, in the end, it'll just, you know, educate people more about, you know, different ways of doing land care and.
Yeah.
And I think if you get to the part where the community or the municipality is doing it for the playing fields, then.
It's
you know,
unethical, it's gonna be talked about.
Have you been reading this stuff in Maine?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, because
God.
we have place up in Maine.
yeah, and, you know, there are these farms that, like this family, 10 years ago, they bought a farm, you know, it's gonna retire, they do all this stuff. They think they're following all the rules, and they're using biosolids to fertilize the fields. And they found out that there's PFAS in the biosolids, because it's stuff that comes out of a sewage treatment plant, you know, wastewater treatment plant. It's scary. And they've been giving out that stuff in New Hampshire, biosolids, for free from a number of municipal landfills. They give out that stuff, people put it on their farms. It's scary. There's a huge one, I think, in Winchendon, Massachusetts, was maybe the biggest one I've ever had. And this guy bought a property across from this huge, enormous composting site where they took stuff from a paper bill, and they took anything that could compost, and they took biosolids too. And he, after 10 years, he can't eat his vegetables or eat the eggs from his chickens. And oh, it's just so sad.
Is that the biosolids
Yeah.
used mostly on farms? Like, would that be a huge impact in Portsmouth in particular?
Oh, they use it for fertilizer.
But
A
would
lot
like
of places.
residents be using it? Like,
The
wonder-
companies that they hire,
Could be,
yeah,
okay.
there's so little regulation over those companies. It's
Okay.
almost
So some
zero.
landscape companies could be, for residential properties, could be using it.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
So we need to figure out, maybe the next steps is you're gonna draft something.
Yeah.
right? Thank you so much.
It helps me.
And run it by
too.
stuff.
I need
Keep
a little, I
focus in
need
our life.
organization or else.
And I'll start minutes and send them to you. Probably won't be till next week, 'cause I'm away for the next 5 days. And then you guys are all still interested. So
Next meeting, maybe? We have to figure out a
Your
schedule.
next meeting
Yeah.
and,
Do you wanna do a doodle poll?
oh, no.
I never figure things out right away.
Well,
My
is there,
problem.
like you guys were talking about trying to do a regular meeting, right? Like have it like the fourth Tuesday of every month or something, but or we could do meeting to meeting. Yeah, and you don't know your schedule, right?
I mean, I just have, as you probably do, childcare things I have to figure out.
How about we come up,
How far away are we talking, I guess would be my question. You know, like if we're talking, I have a couple weeks to plan and organize, I should be good, but if you're trying to, you know, I appreciate Ted's motivation to want to move forward on this, so.
in your way in
Last week
September?
of July someday? Because we've got me on the 13th.
Yeah. Let's see.
And you know,
So this is a meeting with this group, this subcommittee, and then this Zoom with more people to brainstorm. It's a separate event.
I guess.
We might have to have one more with this group, I don't know.
I don't know. I think it'd be okay to bring in some other people that are more experienced than us in some areas.
You're doing the biggest work here.
Well, I guess it's when I create this framework or whatever, do people want to have the opportunity to talk about it in person and like adjust it, or is just doing it through email okay with people?
Email's okay with me.
I'm okay either way, but. I mean, you can look at it and be like, ooh, we need to talk.
Yeah.
I don't know if you, do we want to wait until I kind of create this and then set a meeting? I mean, I'm gonna try to do this in the next like week and a half, 2 weeks.
So have a meeting
Hold them
set
to it.
before we talk to reach out to other people.
Now, let me check with the public works people, because it'd be great to have some of our own staff that, you know, have this new accreditations and experience now. To see if they have any thoughts. They may not be interested at all. And it might be just have them in for one session, a board session. You know.
Well, it'd be nice for us to be like supportive of their goals too. Like if we can help them get credit for their sport business, that's great. That way too, so we want to
Oh, yeah.
give some momentum to whatever you need done.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They're all really good guys.
So that I don't know what to talk about.
Oh,
This,
okay, I'll
if
add to the
people
agenda.
are- Yeah,
Peter and I are making it.
I don't know.
That's
I
great.
can email you too.
It would be the ideal time. It's always nice to like leave a meeting with
I know.
another schedule, even if it's just like a tentative thing.
Yeah, or even two potential things.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would probably, I can probably attend anything if it's via Zoom, so anytime. It's in person, that just becomes a little trickier for me, but Zoom is fine.
How about first
Bring
question,
your kids.
3:30 in the day, is that a good time for everybody? 'Cause I don't know if that's a good time.
I would still have to leave at 4:40,
Okay,
Zoom or no Zoom.
Huh?
I would just say it just depends on the day. I
Yeah.
mean,
you know, so not one time is better than another time.
yeah, I mean, this is probably a good time of day most days of the week. But yeah, like Thursdays for me, I work all day, so I'm at the shop till 6, so that's. kind
No,
of-
no Thursdays.
Yeah,
No
and
Thursdays.
unless you do it Zoom, like I might be able to tune in Zoom, and if somebody comes in, I just have to duck away or something, but.
Sam, you're good till 4:30.
Oh, yeah. 4:40. Yeah, 4:30, 4:40.
It'd be nice to have these meetings on.
Oh, yeah, I'd say limit it, you know, we almost make a rule, so you can,
Yeah.
people can participate in that board.
Second Tuesday. Ninth of August. Thank you.
They're all, you know, we've got them on the 10th.
Oh, Concom, yeah, maybe I want to have them in the same week. That's kind of
Well-
around that thing.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at least in the fall was. But. Summer, yeah.
Okay, you guys originally said, well, the 27th is too close, right?
In summertime, all of a sudden
Today.
someone might be sailing.
27th. I mean, I might be able to do that. I'm not here the first week in August.
Well,
After
my
that,
tie
I'll
chart.
do the second week in August. But if that's too much time between then, whatever.
You know, I'm sure if we reach out to people in other departments, they might have pretty packed July schedules.
That's true.
Yep.
It's taking so
So
much
it's
time.
hard, mid-July to the end of July
Yeah.
right now.
So we want to maybe try the second week, you know?
Second week.
Is that what we're saying?
I was just saying, that
That's
that's Concom
Concom.
week.
Oh, it is, right.
About the first week of August.
I won't be here, but that doesn't.
Yeah, that will help.
Okay, Zoom.
Last week.
Uh,
August sounds great.
No, I'll be on vacation. I will not be zooming the first week in August.
Go from the beach.
No,
On your cell phone.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Signatures on that one, okay.
So just to clarify, are we inviting other people to this next meeting or?
Oh, I'm a
I
little
don't know.
confused.
I don't know.
But we do need a meeting to figure out what people we're reaching out to.
Yeah, well, the NOFA people, I think, are crucial, because they're the ones that are gonna be doing the accreditation programs and doing a discount and all that kind of stuff, and then they're the ones that have a lot of the videos and everything, you know, that we'd wanna grab
What
and
if-
use, so I would love to have you gonna be, you know, or invite them the next time or something, or
What if we had the meeting the 27th, like you were saying?
Yeah.
Just us, and then we create a whole list of who to invite, because I bet not a lot of people could maybe meet on such short notice anyway. And then create another meeting to invite all these people.
At the end of August or something?
Yeah.
Because when do you
Yeah.
leave?
Well, I think I'm gone for the month of September with my friends,
Okay.
but my Claire's pushing me Sam to go early. It's also voting season.
Third week in August.
Yeah, we could try for that,
Okay.
for
The 27th, and then discuss, and we'll come up with we'll review the document again, we'll go back and forth with it.
create a list of people.
Right? Yeah, and then we'll create a
Yeah,
list.
can I email? I mean, what's the rules with?
Yeah.
The subcommittee and quorum and like all that, I never really quite understand what anymore.
Yeah, is there a way, do you guys have like a maybe a comment on documents and stuff, like, what is it called?
I have no idea.
Google Doc.
I
Google
guess
Docs.
I think
Google Docs is
I
probably
think
better
in Google Doc,
email. I don't think we're supposed to make decisions over email.
and then what I sent a
That's why
link
just keep
out,
voting.
basically, right? And people
Talk
make
about stuff.
their own edits and save it in their own version, I guess, something like that.
Yeah,
You
so
can
let's
make
see
it so
that,
everybody can edit it, right?
yeah,
I think you
Yeah,
can.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
Google Doc.
All right,
yeah,
I'll
anytime you
use
save
Google Doc.
it documents
Who made it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so do you want to check to see if we can do Google Docs?
Well, so the climate action plan subcommittee does. Google
Yeah,
Docs
we
one.
have done a ton
Okay,
of
so
stuff
I
in
assume
Google
it's fine.
Docs, so,
Okay.
So
yeah,
I think we're good to go. for that.
yeah.
All right,
Or
so
you
you'll
can
send
share documents.
Yes, but I need everyone's email,
Okay,
I guess, to send them the link, right?
Yes.
I think if everyone was on an email before, I had it, I don't know if
okay, I can send you that.
I could send me, do you have everyone's email?
I think I do.
You want to send me that,
I
and
will
I have it
send
all in
all
one
the
place?
emails.
Okay.
So the email that I get all this stuff from.
Yeah, you don't want it?
Yeah, well, it's just to, it's easier, especially if we're doing Google Doc stuff.
Yeah.
To go to my email.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Great, so the 27th is really soon?
Yeah.
We'll just do that,
that's
and
great.
Abby,
3:30.
Mika might be able to come too.
I
Yeah.
good chance I'll be on Zoom, but I'll be there for sure.
Got it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun.
It's only an hour, it's not-
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, an hour is so much better.
Yes.
Thank you. Happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about the Covert?
Well, I mean, see, I think these guys are saying it